You know, when you think about Elvis on stage, a lot of pictures come to mind. He was so many things to so many people. He was the rebel, the sex symbol, the voice, the king. And he was electric. He was pure electricity sometimes. You could feel it even through the screen, years later. People talk about his moves, his voice, his charisma, and yeah, all that was true. He had this way of moving, a shake of the leg, a tilt of the head, a curl of the lip. It was all part of the package. It was a show, sure, but it felt real. It always felt real with him, at least most of the time. But I've been thinking about one specific thing. I've been thinking about joy. Pure, unadulterated joy. Not the manufactured smile for the cameras, not the swagger that was part of the act, but that deep down happiness that just bursts out of you. That feeling where you're so into what you're doing, so connected to the moment, that nothing else matters. You just feel good, you feel alive, you feel like you're exactly where you're supposed to be, doing exactly what you're meant to do. And I wonder, did Elvis ever really show that kind of pure joy on stage? I mean, he showed passion, absolutely. He showed intensity, he showed vulnerability sometimes, and he showed a kind of raw power that could knock you over. But pure joy, that seems like a different thing. It's less about the performance and more about the experience. It's an internal thing that just bubbles to the surface. There's one song that always comes to mind when I think about this. It's a fast one. It's got this driving beat. It's not one of his ballads, obviously. Those were about different emotions, usually longing or heartbreak or devotion. This particular song, it's all about energy. It's got a beat that just gets right into your bones. It makes you want to move. And when Elvis sang it, he really moved. Now, Elvis had a lot of high-energy songs. He could turn any number into a powerhouse performance. Think about the early stuff like Hound Dog or Jailhouse Rock. Those were full of youthful exuberance, for sure. He was breaking boundaries, pushing limits, and it looked like he was having a blast. He was creating something new, and you could see the excitement in him. He was discovering his power, and it was intoxicating, for him and for the audience. But was that pure joy, or was it more like the thrill of conquest? The excitement of being young and rebellious? It was probably a mix of things. He was enjoying the ride, the shock, the reaction. He was feeding off the energy he was creating. And that's a kind of joy, yes. But it's a specific kind. It's the joy of achievement, of making a mark. Then you look at the comeback era. The Vegas shows, the jumpsuits, the big band. That was a different Elvis. He was a seasoned performer then. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was a showman through and through. He owned that stage. He had this incredible command, and he poured everything into those performances. He'd sweat, he'd strain, he'd hit those notes. He'd interact with the crowd, throw scarves, make jokes. It was a spectacle. And in those shows, he had plenty of songs that were pure fire. Burning Love, for example, or CC Rider. He'd open with CC Rider sometimes, and it would just explode. He'd jump on stage, grab the mic, and bam, the show was on. And he'd be giving it his all, right from the start. That was high energy. That was incredible showmanship. That was a man who knew how to work a crowd and deliver. But again, was it pure joy, or was it the joy of being in control? The joy of knowing he could still bring it. The joy of receiving that adoration? All valid forms of joy, of course. But I'm looking for something that feels less about the external and more about the internal. A moment where the act falls away, even for a second, and you just see the person totally lost in the music, totally happy. This particular song I'm thinking about, it came out a bit later than his earliest hits. It was recorded in 1958, so it's after the initial explosion, but before he went into the army. It has that raw energy of the early rock and roll days, but it also has a bit more polish. It's a very straightforward rock and roll song. It's simple, really. Not complex lyrics, not a deep message. It's just a declaration. A really strong, energetic declaration. And when he performs this song live, you sometimes see something special. You see him lean into the microphone, his body moving without him even seeming to think about it. His head might be shaking a little, his eyes might be closed for a second, or they might be looking out, but not really at anything, just looking through it all. Or it's like he's channeling the music. Think about the rhythm section on this track. It's so tight, the drums are just pounding, the bass is driving it forward. And the guitar has that sharp, clean rock and roll sound. It's just built for energy. It's built for movement, and when Elvis gets into it, it's like he becomes part of that rhythm section. His voice becomes another instrument, sharp and powerful. He doesn't just sing the words, and he feels them, even though the words themselves aren't particularly profound. They're about love, sure, but in a very direct, almost physical way. It's not about romance or heartache. It's about a consuming, powerful attraction. It's almost playful in its intensity. And when he sings it, he embodies that playful intensity. There are moments and performances of this song where he just lets loose. His signature moves are there, of course. The leg shaking, the hip swivels. But there's something else. There's a sort of abandon. A throwing himself into the music that feels different from just putting on a show. It feels like he can't help it, like the music is just moving through him. You can see it in his face sometimes. Not a big, forced grin, but a genuine smile, one that starts in his eyes. A look of pure exhilaration, like he's just having the time of his life right then and there, and it's contagious. The audience feels it. You feel it just watching it years later on a screen. He's not thinking about the next song. He's not thinking about the schedule. He's not thinking about the pressures or the management or the expectations. He's just there, in that moment, singing that song, and it feels like everything else just fades away for him. It's interesting because this song isn't one of his most famous. It's not Heartbreak Hotel. It's not Can't Help Falling in Love. It's not a cultural touchstone in the same way. But for sheer, unadulterated musical energy and the joy he often brought to it, it really stands out. It's a track that demands a lot from him physically and vocally, and he always delivered. But sometimes he delivered more than just a performance. He delivered a slice of himself. Consider his vocal performance on this one. He hits those high notes with such power. He holds them. He belts them out. And it sounds like he's just letting it all go. There's no holding back. It's a full throttle vocal. And the way he interacts with the band, sometimes he'll just nod or gesture, almost imperceptibly, just completely locked into the groove with them. It's a shared energy, a collective joy in making that sound. And what about the tempo? It's fast. Really fast. It rushes forward. It doesn't let up. And for Elvis, that kind of relentless pace often translated into relentless energy. He had to keep up. He had to match the speed of the song. And in doing so, he often surpassed it, bringing even more intensity. It's like the song itself is pulling joy out of him, making him move and shout and sing with a freedom you don't always see. When I think about the many sides of Elvis, the different roles he played, on and off stage, I keep coming back to this idea of pure joy. It's a rare thing, especially for someone under that much scrutiny, that much pressure. He was a master performance of creating an illusion of embodying a character. But sometimes the character faded and the man just was. This song, it's like a snapshot of that. It's not a ballad where he's pouring out his soul in a sad way. It's not a gospel song where he's finding spiritual release, though those definitely showed a profound kind of joy for him too. This is different. This is raw, physical, almost primal joy. The joy of pure rock and roll. The joy of being alive and making a lot of noise with a great band. And it's a song that, despite its simplicity, has a real impact. It hits you. It makes you smile. It makes you feel good. And you can see that same feeling reflected in Elvis when he sings it. It's like the music is designed to make you feel that way, and he's the conduit. He's letting that feeling flow right through him, and out to everyone watching. Sometimes when you watch old footage of him, you see the effort. You see the strain, especially in later years. The voice might be a little rougher, the movement's a little more deliberate. But with this song, when he did it, it often felt effortless. It felt like it just happened. Like, the energy was so natural to him, so ingrained that he didn't have to try. It just was. And that's the key, I think, to pure joy. It's not something you try for. It's something that happens to you. It's a gift of the moment. And when he was performing this song, sometimes it really seemed like he was receiving that gift. He wasn't performing joy, he was experiencing it. And that made all the difference. You know how some songs just have that perfect groove? That perfect tempo? This one does. It just locks in. And when a band is locked in, and the singer is locked in with them, that creates a powerful thing. It creates a space where real magic can happen. And for Elvis, that magic often meant a kind of blissful release. A letting go. A total immersion. He didn't do this song every night. It wasn't a constant staple like Suspicious Minds or Can't Help Falling in Love. But when he did pull it out, especially in the late 60s and early 70s, it felt fresh. It felt like a burst of pure, unadulterated rock and roll energy. It was a reminder of where he came from, of the raw power that launched him. And I think he enjoyed tapping into that. He enjoyed feeling that youthful fire again. It's a song that lets him be a little wild, a little untamed. It's not a ballad where he's expected to be tender. It's not a gospel where he's expected to be reverent. It's just pure, joyous abandon. And Elvis, with his incredible voice and his incredible stage presence, was perfectly suited to deliver that. He could be fierce, but also completely in the moment. And you see the audience reaction to it too. They light up, they clap along, they cheer. It's an infectious song, and that feedback loop, that exchange of energy between Elvis and the crowd, that definitely fueled his joy. When he saw them responding like that, losing themselves in the music, It had to make him feel good. It had to reinforce that sense of being exactly where he was meant to be. It's about more than just a powerful vocal. It's about more than just flashy moves. It's about the whole package coming together in a way that feels utterly authentic. It feels like the song itself is demanding joy from him, and he's happy to give it. He's happy to let it flow. He could be playful with it too. Sometimes he'd extend the ending or add a little extra flourish to a vocal line. It wasn't always the same. Each performance had its own unique spark, and that unpredictability, that spontaneity, that's another sign of genuine enjoyment. When you're truly joyful, you're not following a script. You're just living in the moment, responding to the feeling. And this song gave him that space. It gave him permission to just let loose. Loud, to be energetic, to be a rock and roll star in the purest sense of the word. And when he embraced that, when he fully leaned into that identity, that's when you sometimes saw that unfiltered, undeniable happiness. It wasn't every time, of course. No artist is joyful every single time they perform. There are off nights, there are pressures, there are struggles, but there were enough times with this specific song where it just felt different. It felt like a release. It felt like a moment of pure, unburdened happiness bursting through the showmanship. It's a powerful thing to see someone truly happy doing what they love. And with Elvis, that was a rare and precious glimpse. He carried a lot of weight. He had a lot of demands on him. He lived a very public life. So those moments of pure, unadulterated joy where he just seemed to be having the time of his life, those were special. And this song, it seems to capture that spirit. It's fast, it's fun, it's loud. It's everything good about early rock and roll, amplified by the greatest performer of all time. It's not deep, but it doesn't need to be. Its depth comes from the sheer raw emotion it elicits. And that emotion, so often, was joy. A pure, thrilling, infectious joy. He sang it with conviction. He sang it with power, but he also sang it with a smile in his voice, even if you couldn't always see his face clearly. You could hear it, you could feel it, and that's what makes it stand out. That's what makes me think it might just be the song that, more than any other, captured the pure joy Elvis felt on stage. It was a song that let him be free. Free from the expectations of ballads, free from the solemnity of gospel, free from the more theatrical demands of some of his other hits. This was just raw, energetic, unadorned rock and roll. And in that rawness, in that energy, he found a kind of freedom that allowed his pure joy to shine through. He didn't have to try to be joyful. The song just made him joyful, and that, I think, is the key. So, was this the one song that captured the pure joy Elvis felt on stage? It wasn't the only one where he showed happiness. He smiled a lot. He clearly loved what he did most of the time. But this song, it felt like a direct conduit to that unburdened, unadulterated, electrifying joy. It was more than a performance. It was an experience for him and for us. And the song I'm talking about, the one that I think best captured that pure, unadulterated joy, was A Big Hunk O Love.